definitely add to the success story at the end of the day, because I know we are going to be successful in this journey. Having all the right honorable speakers, progressive speakers in our party that have presided over the second arm of government, who has representatives across the 18 local governments. You still have your relationship with those that you serve together. You are just representative of that great number of people who represented their constituencies at different times. I know you have that reach. So I want to thank you for the value you are going to add to this government by your support.
Ayedatiwa promised to make people of the state the focal point of his government while advancing the state in all sectors. Wahab Bankole, Osrc News.
Following the ratification of 5 commissioner nominees to serve in the cabinet of Ondo State government, the House of Assembly has confirmed the nomination of Mrs. Omowumi Isaac as commissioner. Mrs. Isaac, who was the 6th nominee, was confirmed during plenary presided over by the Speaker, Olamide Oladeji. House of Assembly correspondent Omoshiola Adesoye completes the story.
Mrs. Omowumi Isaac from Owo local government area is one of the commissioner nominees whose names were forwarded to the House by the Governor of Ondo State, Lucky Ayedatiwa, and her confirmation was sequel to submission of screening reports by the selection committee headed by the Speaker, Olamide Oladeji. While relaying of the observations of the committee, the Deputy Speaker, Prince Abayomi Akinruntan, recommended that the nominee possess the necessary requirements for the position.
The scoring chart reflected that the commissioner nominee provided excellent
development of all those states. On that note, I congratulate Mrs. Omowumi Isaac on her appointment as a commissioner in Ondo State. Congratulations.
While commending the governor for putting a round peg in a round hole, the Speaker also appreciated him for prioritizing the welfare of the legislators. The commissioner designate, Mrs. Omowumi Isaac, expressed happiness at the nominations of the governor, describing the opportunity as a call to serve the people of Ondo State.
I really appreciate you all. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for the screening process. Thank you for everything. And I'm thanking the governor also for believing in me and sending my name forward to serve my people in the state. I promise to you that I will not let you down. And by the grace of God, God will help me. And I will not let you go. At the same time, I will not let you go from the state.
The confirmation of Mrs. Isaac brings to 6 the number of commissioners designates ratified by the Assembly. From Ondo State House of Assembly, Omoshiola Adesoye, Osrc News.
President Bola Tinubu has written to the National Assembly to seek confirmation of the appointment of 5 persons as directors of the board of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. The Senate, Gospel Akpabio, read at the floor of the Senate a letter from President Tinubu asking the Senate and Nigeria's security chiefs have resolved to use the national identification number and the bank verification number for identifying and apprehending criminals. The Senate Committee on Media and Publicity, Yemi Ataramodu, said this when the security chiefs appeared before the Senate on Tuesday in the company of the National Security Advisor, Nur Rubadu, and the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunjojo, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Olawale Edun, and the Minister of Police Affairs, Ibrahim Gaidam, were also part of the meeting, which was held behind closed doors and lasted for about 9 hours. The Senate spokesperson, who briefed journalists shortly after the closed-door meeting, said part of the resolutions at the meeting was that criminals would be traced with the identification numbers system. The resolution means that all the security agencies will have access to the database of all Nigerians and cooperate among themselves. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has unveiled plans to develop a regional resilience strategy with efficient coordination and effective early warning systems to tackle crises within the region. The director for stakeholders from the region in Abuja, Ahmed, said ECOWAS member states had experienced a series of disasters, crises and conflicts that have posed threats to normal life, the means of livelihood for the people, and sustainable economic growth and development. According to him, the predominant disaster risk profile of West Africa has significantly posed a threat to the region's efforts to meet crucial global and continental initiatives, including the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs 2030. Fighting between government forces and M23 rebels has intensified in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Battles are taking place around the town of Sake near the Rwanda border. Most of those injured have been transferred to the nearby provincial capital, Goma. Health workers there say they are overwhelmed. Kemisologan has details.
Doctors at a hospital in Goma, North Kivu provincial capital, are operating on a man with gunshot wounds who has come from the town of Seke. Battles between M23 fighters and the army have intensified in recent days. Thousands of people have been displaced, some more than once. It's worse now because heavy and light weapons are being used near shelters hosting fleeing families. Health workers are overwhelmed by the number of injured.
We have actually three operation theater. We are working every day. We are worried about the situation because we never known this kind of situation before.
Uboya Yaingi arrived from Sake a few days ago. Says a bomb landed near his home and sharp nail hit his leg.
We were caught in between the fighting when the rebels attacked our village near Sake. As we were trying to save ourselves, a bomb exploded.
Mupenzi Zintoda says he was shot in the back while running away from soldiers. He says no one is safe.
The Congolese Special Forces accused
M23, an armed group operating in the DR Congo for several years in 2022. A military intervention and mediation effort by East African leaders has had little effect. The government accuses neighboring Rwanda of funding the fighters. Allegations Kindali denies. 1.2 million Congolese are living rough in makeshift shelters without food, water, or basic sanitation. They say they are tired, frustrated, afraid they may have to flee again because their fighters keep coming. Kemisolojomu, Osrc News.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has raised serious concerns about the current political situation in Senegal and is urging President Macky Sall to restore the electoral calendar. Earlier this month, Sall postponed upcoming elections, sparking widespread unrest and violent confrontations between police and protesters. Opposition leaders accuse him of trying to extend his presidency.
In confiscating the sovereign right of the people of choosing their president, Macky Sall has led the country to an impasse.
So our declaration is that of asking for calm could lead to violence and create tensions in the country.
The U.S. Republican-led House of Representatives voted on Tuesday to impeach Democratic President center stage ahead of November's presidential election. Conservatives blamed Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas for a surge in crossings of illegal migrants from the U.S.-Mexican border. The vote narrowly passed with 214 in favor and 213 again. Scalis was receiving cancer treatment. Biden's tenure has seen a record number of migrants illegally cross in from the Mexican border. Former President Donald Trump has turned migration to a focus of his campaign against Biden. In the occupied West Bank, Palestinian Bedouin communities rely on goat herding for livelihoods. Established decades ago, they endure challenges from expanding illegal Israeli settlement, with recent incidents of settlers imposing fines and alleging trespassing on disputed land intensifying the plights, breaching international law, and instilling fear. Backed by the Israeli army, settlers resort to theft and intimidation, exacerbating tensions. Israeli human rights underscore the Bedouins' enduring struggle, urging awareness and action to address the escalating crisis. The details.
Jihad guards his herd. The goats are his family's main source of income, and he is worried the Israeli settlers will come back and take them away. Jihad lives here in this Palestinian Bedouin community, which has been here for 50 years. It is surrounded by illegal and expanding Israeli settlements that began appearing in the 1980s. He says the settlers recently forced him to pay a fine of 150,000 shekels, about $40,000, because they said his goat had strayed into their land.
It was about 7:30 always go to. Suddenly, settlers with protection of Israeli soldiers attacked us and confiscated the animals. They threatened us and said either we pay or they would take the sheep away. Since the 7th of October, settlers are trying to kick us out more than ever before.
We go to speak to the settlement council. We are not allowed in phone calls, are told to email the council's lawyer detailing the case. The Bedouin some of the attacks and stock theft have been led by this man. Zohar Saba lives in an illegal settler outpost close by. He passes us in his car as he works accompanied by Israeli human rights activists. It is another settler with goats. The young unharmed settler looks nervous, and Zohar will washes from his car, which is parked on a nearby hill.
Slowly they're closing on them, and here, for example, few family already left. So it's quiet terror, but it's still terror.
The settlement council's lawyer replied, he said, Jihad had broken the law by allowing his goats to stray, but there was no mention of the fact the animals had roamed into land occupied illegally by Israel, according to international law.
Video has emerged of the crowd in northern Gaza trying to save a young boy's life after he and his cousin were shot by Israeli soldiers. Flora Noel has details.
This was Ahmad, smiling, happy, alive, the last good memories his parents have of their son, who was 3.5 years old. He was in the arms of his 20-year-old cousin, Hadil, a medical student at university, when they were gunned down. Their last memories are captured in this video, but there was a third person with them that day.
I went to buy some clementines with Hadil and Imad, and we
The neighbors are using the buildings as cover-up. The neighbors are using the buildings as cover from sniper fire to do what they can, the dust being kicked up as the bullets continue to fly.
People met his cousin and refused to leave her alone. He then started moving a reach for the stick, so they shot and killed him.
Since the shooting at the makeshift market in Sheikh Radwan in northern Gaza is busy, children not older than Ahmad walk the streets.
What makes this worse and more painful for us as Hadil's parents and Imad's mother is this unfolded before our eyes without us being able to say goodbye.